As we begin talking about the different types of scales we have in music, it is very important that we first understand the idea of a half step versus a whole step. In front of you, you see our piano keyboard, and we're going to illustrate that both on the keyboard and on the staff to show you the difference between a half step and a whole step. First, we're going to go from C to D, from C to D. This is middle C, we find it on a line, and then this is D that we find in a space. In this instance, C to D, or line to space, or space to line, is going to be our whole step. Again, line to space, or if we start on this D, which is on a space, space to E is a line, and that again is a whole step. When looking at half steps, it's going to be more crucial depending on what key signature we are in. For this instance, we're going to be in C major. So if we start on this C here, this half step is going to go to the very next key on the keyboard, which in this case is C sharp or the enharmonic D flat. Again, if we start on this D, we're going to go up to the very next note on the keyboard, which is an E flat or D sharp. And then one of the odd ones that we have is going from these two keys side by side. It's odd, but it's not because there's no black key in between, but it is the next note up. From E to F is going to give us that half step. So the major scale that we know of is also known as the Ionian Scale. The pattern for the whole scale, or the Ionian scale rather, is whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. A friend of mine taught us this rap many years ago, and it goes like this: whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half, whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. And if we apply that to the C major scale, we'll see it here. Whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. And the same thing applies to any other key. Let's take a look at D major, for example. First note, or whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, half step. Sticking in C major, we're going to take a look at the Aeolian scale, which is the natural minor scale, That pattern is whole, half, whole, whole, half, whole, whole. Starting on A, which is the minor 6 of C minor. So we have a whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, half step, whole step, whole step. Forgot what key it was in. Sorry, moving on. Yes, so the reason that we have from B to C is a half step, because normally B to C sharp would give us that whole step in the A major scale. But since it's the minor scale, we're going to have a half step there. Whole, half, whole, whole, half, whole, whole. The next scale we'll look at is the Dorian Scale. That pattern is whole, half, whole, 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 half, whole. And it sounds and looks like this. The next scale we're focusing on is the Phrygian scale. That pattern is half, whole, 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 half, whole, whole. And the C Phrygian scale sounds like this. The next scale we'll look at is called the whole tone scale because it's comprised of simply whole tones. There are no half steps or no half tones in the whole tone scale. Starting on C, sounds like this. If we do it a little faster, sounds kind of Twilight Zone or spooky, right? Kind of mysterious. There are some other variations of scales which we'll not cover today, but I will give you the listing of their whole and half steps. The first is the Lydian mode, which is whole, 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 half, whole, whole, half. The Mixolydian mode, whole, whole, half, whole, half, whole. The Locrian mode, half, whole, half, whole, whole. And then with the Aeolian, there's also not only the natural minor that we looked at, but also the harmonic minor and the melodic minor. So, with this scale, the blues scale, we talked about the blues previously in scale degrees before. The blues scale is a shorter scale which has a flat third, a flat fifth, and a flat seven, but there is no second or sixth. There's no 2 scale degree, and there's no 6 scale degree. So the blues scale in C sounds like this. Again. And we remember that the blues scale, or the blues, or 12-bar blues rather, is a collection of music where there's music in groups of 12 bars or 12 measures and usually features 3 different chords. In this case, we're going to have C, F, and G, and there of course may be some other variations in there. And as we listen to this next example, we're going to see those 3 chords of C major, F, and G. They may be 7th, they may become flat minors or 7s. And we're also going to have some passing tones in there, as well as some improvisation. Alright, so using this Yamaha Motif X8, or ES8 rather, Digital Production Center and Synthesizer, I've laid down a basic 12-bar blues track with those embellishments that I've talked about before. So we're going to let the track play through one time. We have a bass, a piano, and the drum set. And then after that first round, I'll do a little bit of improv on an electric organ. Here we go. So we're walking on the 1 chord, going to the 4 chord, back to the 1, variations, 5 of 5 to 5, and then back to 1, walking for the turnaround. So the improvisation on the organ part is the part that we're making up. There was nothing written down for the improvisation. The idea of jazz and blues, one of the big things, is improvisation. That's making it up on the spot. And that's just exactly what we've done.